to the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast.
All right, welcome back. This is episode number 45 of the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast. Thank you all so much for dropping in with us. We are reaching the end of Verdansk as we know it all together. The time clock on the bomb is ticking. This is the last episode of Season 5 Black Ops because we are entering the 6th and final season of Cold War Black Ops Warzone integration as we know it. Quite a monumental time. How was your week this week in the Warzone 10-inch-cowboy?
Oh, it couldn't come sooner, the changes. We have had some fun times recently playing during the work week. This week, though, a little frustrating. Seems as if, I don't know if it was the servers we were on or just a general level of play. The bar is high right now. Or if it's cheaters. You know, I love to blame a lame death on a cheater. But either one of those has made it a rough time to be playing in Rebirth. Didn't play very much Verdansk this week, but yeah, Rebirth there's been some hot games, and of course we're going to talk about the extreme nature of Rebirth, which is not helping anything.
Yes, indeed. Extreme was quite the word of the week. Extremely sweaty lobbies, extremely insane gameplay with these new changes to the playlist, to the Warzone, to the Rebirth Island playlist and team configuration setup. But an interesting point that we've been encountering, I mean, it's blatant. Like the quality, the sweatiness of the levels of the servers has been cranked up to like 11 here, you know, out of 10. And thinking about why, it seems like it kind of goes hand in hand with the reality that we have to admit that we have to, you got to admit you got a problem. And I hope Activision's here with us, is that the Warzone player base is dying out. It's like, people are walking away, but who in that situation is more likely to stick around? The people that have invested all this fucking time that can still have fun, like picking on the little Timmies, the little amateurs, they're going to stick around. Whereas the amateurs, the Timmies, they're going to pack their shit up, try the new Battle Royale, go back to Fortnite, or just go back to their single player campaign, get off the multiplayer scene altogether. You agree with that estimation?
I totally agree with that. I haven't really thought about it like that, but you're totally right. The people that have the least fun are the guys that are getting shit on, us, the amateurs. So it makes total sense that they would be, looking for a new horizon. As sad as that is to say, it certainly seems that there's less amateurs in the game now.
So we gotta wonder, obviously there's gonna be a resurgence, no pun intended. I'd imagine with Vanguard, the new map, it's gonna garner new interest. It's gonna get old people back to the game and attract new people. And obviously there's new COD players being born every day, or graduating to that level of video game from mommy and daddy, letting them play it without getting in trouble. But neither here nor there. The bottom line is, yes, the player base, the average skill level has been elevated significantly, and the average sweatiness and, equipment has probably gone up too. So more people have the PS5s, the new Xboxes, more people have the PCs. The odds are getting stacked more and more against it. We're starting to feel the pressure.
Yeah, and then they do these things where you have the only working component of the game right now that isn't, I don't want to say the only working component, but like Rebirth, the best game mode, right? Over the last few months, so much better than Verdansk. Verdansk has been rough. They have Rebirth, we were playing Rebirth daily. It's great. And then they go and they make it Extreme Rebirth, where there's so many people on the map. It's like you have to get through this first wave of just like hell, and then if you survive, then it kind of settles down. But it's just crazy. It's like, I just don't understand why they do this to us.
Yeah, so let's just talk about that now. It's been an established fact on this podcast it's kind of ridiculous how long it's been, we're Rebirth players. Like, we used to be a little hesitant, try and bounce back and forth. Now we've accepted it. We have the most fun. We kind of got a Rebirth crew that we run with, and it's a play style and a team dynamic that is just different in Rebirth than Verdansk. And I feel like we have a team that kind of facilitates that synergy. We have a lot of fun. But like you said, we're at the mercy of the playlists they give us. You know, thankfully it's been quads and we've had that quad. But at one point they had 2 playlists on Rebirth, which was great. And I mean, it's not just us. I think it was J God or True Game Data. One of those guys put out a poll on their Twitter this week. What do you prefer to play? And Rebirth was the overwhelming favorite. And they were both surprised by that. Whereas obviously we're not surprised by that.
No, we love Rebirth. We got our finger on the pulse because we're in it ourselves.
That's right. We're the voice of the amateur players. Like, yeah, all the streamers are going to be in Verdansk, but then they're like, what? And people like, come talk to us, dude. We're on the Amateur Hour.
Yeah, you want to get your finger on the pulse? Come touch my neck, baby. Touch this inside of my wrist. I'll give you the pulse of Warzone right here. But I mean, it's no surprise. Rebirth is by and large favorite because it's so much quicker. It's so fun. Like the action is like it's like a hot shot of I don't even know, but it's hot and it's a shot and it comes at you fast.
Yeah, it's battle royale on steroids, like there's no waiting around. Like the circle exists, but your main priority isn't like looting. It's not bullshit contracts. It's fucking finding teams and eliminating them. And the purest elements of a battle royale, I feel like really shine. But as you touched on this week, we had some major changes to Rebirth where not a new thing, going back to something they did a while back, is reintroduced this Rebirth Resurgence game mode. However, I guess it used to be 100 players, I think, at one point, or 80. Well, they pared that down for this time, 64 out of the gate. That was insane. They're like, hey, they issued a patch after a day or two. They're like, all right, we are adjusting the player count for Rebirth Extreme from 64 to 60. Like, oh great, they took one fucking team out. So yeah, give us a summary of like what it's like playing this Rebirth Extreme.
I didn't know that they did that. That's pure insanity that was the solution they had. So basically, when you're dropping on Rebirth now, every single quote unquote main area, or like the headquarters, the prison roofs, the bioweapons lab, the chems, the novas, like
control center,
control, decon, basically every single spot on that map, there is a team going there. It's insane. And most of the time there's multiple teams going to the places you want to go, and it's just a full-on shit show. So what we've been doing actually, which seems to have been helping, a little amateur tip out there, is that depending on where the flight map is, we will choose like a place in which generally we're thinking we want to go. We'll pull our chutes early, float, and then see obviously where everything is going, because it's really not fun to drop in a house at our level of gameplay with 2 or 3 other teams inside of like a small building or like warehouse, So we like to choose places that aren't as crowded, get looted up, hopefully get a loadout in, and then you can start actually trying to get some kills. So we've been doing that. But as I may have mentioned this earlier, in the beginning, there's so many teams dropping, and it's so hot and sweaty everywhere. There's just people everywhere on the map with 64 people. There's like a first wave of team eliminations, team wipes that has to happen before the game settles into kind of like a classic quad Warzone situation. And that's probably around like the 30 to 36 number. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe 32 or 36. Yeah.
Yeah. As you said, I agree. It's kind of like Rebirth Extreme for the first 2 minutes. And then from there, it resets to like regular Rebirth. If you can survive that, you get back on your feet. There's a little more loot. There's a lot more dead bodies floating around. But as you said, our strategy, having some trouble there early on, running into people, just really tough starts to the game. And as you said, what we do, we drop in, we float, because 90% of players in Rebirth do not float. They got a spot. The map's big enough to where you don't got to float to get where you need to go. So you can kind of eyeball, really see right off the bat, like, okay, we got, sometimes like I've seen, like we saw 6 teams that looked like going for a control center. It's like, okay, we're not going to fucking control center. And then other times there's surprises like, oh, chem's wide open, and that's going to be in the circle. So we would manage to get some victories in this Rebirth Extreme mode. Very proud to say that I think 1 or 2 of them were with like randoms. We also had a victory with King Kong, a very dedicated, loyal Warzone Amateur Hours listener and supporter. So that was really dope. So, we're still fucking fighting out there the best we can, like warrior poets. It's just, it's a higher level of difficulty now.
Warrior poets. I've never heard that term before.
Yeah, that's
Is it a pretty famous phrase?
it's from Braveheart.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, well then it's gotta be legit. Yeah, we're still fighting the good fight. Basically, playing handball at recess, waiting for us to get called back into, homeroom when we're waiting for fucking Verdansk or for whatever the new one is. What is it called?
The Pacific.
The Pacific Theater. So yeah, I mean, it's it's just a bummer that they giveth and they taketh with the playlists, and unfortunately, the Extreme isn't my favorite game mode right now. But we have been playing a little bit of Iron Trials, which has been fun, interesting, different. But it's honestly hard to go back to the big map once you're so dialed into Rebirth,
Yeah, it's a different pace, and I agree. Iron Trials definitely grew and grew on me. I really started to enjoy it, but unfortunately, with the introduction of Warzone Rebirth Extreme, also saw the outroduction of Iron Trials 84 leaving the playlist, done for now. It seems like the feedback in the community was overwhelmingly positive for that, so I'm really curious to see if there's any sorts of long-term changes to Warzone that they could be deriving from that, like make the TTK longer like that. Man, I don't know about the pricing, the loadouts and stuff. Not sure I'm a huge fan of that. I like my free loadouts, but I think the TTK element and the rate at which your health revived, like there's something there.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was fun not being killed in a millisecond. It's fun, like, you start getting shot and you have a split second to try to hide or get cover or, just survive, as opposed to just like in the blink of an eye, you're dead. I enjoyed that part of it. And it makes more sense. I mean, it's a time investment to play on the big map. It's like, those are long games. You have one life. It'd be nice to enjoy that, or at least
take a few more bullets before you go out.
Yeah, take a few more bullets before. And that's another thing, too, about Iron Trials 84. I mean, we're talking about it kind of, post its its ending. But, with like the car, I love to snipe. And especially on Verdansk, I usually like to roll SMG sniper. That's kind of my thing. Or the marksman rifle I run the car. And in Iron Trials, unless you're within, I believe it's either 30 or 50 meters, very close, the headshot with a car doesn't down you. It only cracks you, breaks you, takes 2 plates off, which is, again, kind of like, it's not as, and I get headshots so much when we were playing Verdansk back in the day. It was so discouraging. So there's some good changes there, and I'm curious to see what they take away and they bring into the next iteration of the game.
Yeah, it's a good points there, especially like your engagements. It's different. Like in Verdansk, traditional, how it is like, you don't really have battles. You have interactions. You fucking run into someone and then there's an immediate gunfight and either you're dying or they're dying. Whereas in Iron Trials, like, it was kind of like skirmishes, little battles you'd have with teams. Like, you'd get the jump on them at first and then they'd retreat somewhere and you couldn't just push them and, bowl them over. So it was like much more of an open back and forth. You kind of had to out strategize people. Usually had to push a lot of times in coordination as a team. So again, yeah, very popular, supported by the amateurs, although I guess it's more aimed at the sweatier people. We're fans here on the Warzone Amateur Hour, all right, for the record.
Yeah, totally. I agree.
So that was really it for Season 5 comings and goings. The big news, however, was this week they laid the cards on the table. They tipped their hat. The final season of Black Ops Cold War, Season 6, is going to be launching October 7th, the week of this podcast's release. First off, they released a little intro cinematic, which, we've already stated the storyline's fucking nuts. They're wrapping it up, though. Basically, Adler's like got tortured and did something. His brain was taken over, and then Woods got him back, and now they're ready to fight Adler. And there was a bunch of what's the guy's Stitch with the fucking
Stitch
cataracts, and then they blew up a huge bunch of bombs on Verdansk. But they confirmed, yeah, it's the final season of Black Ops Cold War, and the new one's coming on the 7th. That's really the main takeaways from that cinematic I got.
I can't believe that they put out these cinematics and expect people to jump on board and get in line with the how this influences somehow the gameplay. It's crazy to me. I mean, I was so confused by this. Again, I think I read, just so you know, I don't know if we've talked about this, but apparently Stitch, because he's missing the eye, Adler is responsible for that eye missing scar situation. So Stitch has this grudge, obviously, with Adler. That's why he's, I think, trying to kill Adler. Adler, I believe, is like trying to save Verdansk, or Adler works for the CIA, I think.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure, so that's why Stitch is against the CIA. The CIA is obviously trying to not have giant cities blow up, but then again, I'm not sure why Adler was pumped full of that juice during this thing that we just watched.
That was to like snap him out of his brainwashed state, it seemed like.
Because the numbers, I guess Stitch was poisoning his mind with these numbers, right?
Something like that, yeah.
So I don't understand how numbers can be like a physical poison to somebody that's like causing them mental disabilities. I, again, am so confused. I don't think it makes any sense. There's a lot more logical ways. You know, there's like staircases you can build in storytelling to get you where you want to go. This staircase here seems to be dilapidated at best.
Yeah, a lot of holes. You're jumping. You're making a lot of connections here that are a little loose, let's just say. But you know what? It's mercifully coming to an end here. We got to be grateful for that. The bar is so low that we got to imagine. I'm excited for, honestly, the storyline of the Pacific. Start fresh. Give us something like granular. Give us something fucking simple we can hold on to. From what I've heard, the plot line of Vanguard's like campaign is it takes place directly after World War II, and it's kind of like these forces tracking down like the leftover Axis powers, or, you know, little militias that are lingering around Europe or whatever, I guess the Pacific, not sure. So the bar is low. Hopefully they can leap over it, but that was really it for the cinematic. The main thing, though, is they tipped their hat in terms of their roadmap being posted. As we said, there's bombs went off in the storyline. Well, those affect Verdansk. Verdansk now has some destruction, specifically through downtown. It seems like some of the larger buildings has been toppled. The airport, I think, is pretty blown to shit. So, like, some map changes here at the end of Verdansk's life, whatever.
Interesting. Oh, are those active now?
Well, once Season 6 launches, those will be live, yes, which is on October 7th.
Wait, so okay, oh no, we have one more season before we get to the Pacific Theater? Oh my God, I thought this was the last season.
No, we are approaching Season 6. We're in Season 5. Season 6 will be the last.
Oh, fuck.
So Season 7, essentially, when that would be, will be Season 1 of Vanguard, Season 1 of the Pacific, the big shebanger around our 1-year anniversary. So yes, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer.
Oh, I didn't realize there was a whole nother season. That's why they released that trailer. Okay, now I understand. Fuck.
All right, the pieces are shifted into place for the 10-Inch Cowboy. And additionally, in terms of shifting, as is kind of regular occurrence here, when there's a new season, there's a new gulag. Well, in this case, it's not a new gulag, and we touched on this recently, and we are going back to the original gulag showers. The old Verdansk prison showers is coming back. The overwhelming fan favorite best gulag. I guess there's some minor tweaks, but that is coming back. We're ending where we started in the gulag, literally and physically, here on the Warzone Amateur Hour.
I actually love it. I miss those old showers, you know? Made a lot of good friends in those showers, so I'm really excited about those ones. I'm so much more excited about that than, I mean, really, if they brought back any other gulag, I wouldn't be excited at all, but I cut my chops. I became the 10-Inch Cowboy in those damn showers. I'm excited to get back there and show a man or two what I'm all about.
All right, show that man or two. Now, I got to ask, did you have a strategy you developed? Do you remember what it was?
Honestly, it was so long ago. I lost a lot of gulag fights when that first when the first shower gulag was around. So I have no idea. No, I'll probably come up with something new. What about you?
I had a very specific strategy. My most effective gulag, I was having a real, like, by the end there, I was feeling it in the gulag. Honestly, was like, I felt like the sweatiest I've ever been, you know? And my strategy was, yes, I would choose the right side. I would immediately book it for the right angle, and I would hold that far end of the side because you almost always saw them peek down there. And if I didn't see that, then I would kind of loop back around and try and cross to their side from the left-hand side. And usually that got me the success because there's those long corridors, and I feel like you got to get to the one of them first and wait for them to arrive. That was my strategy. I will return to it, see how it goes, see if it's just as effective.
Why didn't you ever tell me this before?
I feel like I did. I'm pretty sure we covered it on the podcast back then. But yeah, you'd run. I'd immediately run, sprint around the corner, and then just peek, and you could see them. A lot of times they would come down the same corridor. If not, you'd be in a good spot.
Okay. Yeah, so it was a race to get that positioning.
Yeah, and it was like, let them come to you type of situation.
What happens if they don't go to that corner? Then what?
Then I wait a moment and either continue towards their side on that side, or I try and loop back around kind of cautiously. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to figure out where they're at just off the rip there.
Interesting. Okay, well, good to know. Yeah, maybe I'll try something similar.
Yeah, you should. Well, speaking of gulags, friend of the podcast, longtime listener, submitter of content ideas, is scared of clowns, and he had an idea for us to go back and let's rank the gulags. So to revisit this, there was a GIF that was shared of like different photos, and honestly, like they blurred together in my mind. I kind of forgot about them. So to remind our listeners, to remind the 10-Inch Cowboy, and to remind myself, the gulags were as follows. We have the showers at the beginning as covered. I think we can already establish that's the best one. So like, let's leave that out of the conversation. It's decided. Then there was the Rebirth Island had its own gulag when that was first introduced. Do you remember that?
Oh, I did not like that gulag at all. Yeah.
Square room, outside corridors, and then inside when you cross, the little buzzer went off.
I hated that gulag. Yeah, I hated it.
So that's technically a gulag on the list. So, okay, you hated it. I hated it. Let's put that fucking thing at the bottom. So we got the showers on the top. The Rebirth Island one on the bottom. Then we had 4 other gulags since then. Those were as follows. They had a Nuketown one, which was taken from the old Nuketown map. It was where there was like the 2 buses in the middle. You started on your side. One of the buses was like hollowed out in the middle. Do you remember that one?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I remember that one. Oh, yeah, I totally remember that one. Didn't like that one either.
I thought that was, it wasn't great, but I thought it was decent, although there was the weird part where if you started on one side, you could climb up, I think, a level or 2 on the weird, like...
Yeah, there was clearly a better side to be on that one. It wasn't an even standoff, you know?
Well, speaking of which, the other one is called Standoff, and that was the L-shaped gulag. It seemed like we had that one the longest of any of them. They tweaked it a few times, and that was... there was, like, the tank in the middle, and yeah, it's an L shape, and you could also go up top and cut through that way. Where do you rank that one?
I would probably rank that one. I think, yeah. So showers was best. I think that the buses in the middle was probably my second favorite, actually. And then standoff probably, and then Rebirth Island. I really didn't like the Rebirth Island one.
Yeah, Rebirth's on the bottom. I didn't like this standoff one. I just felt like, that was back when the game was super fucking dark and the rose skin was broken, and I just had a real difficulty seeing people in that gulag. So I actually probably going to rank that second to bottom on my list. But the next up one was Hijacked, which was, I don't know if you remember this because we rarely played Verdansk during this season, and it was like long corridors around the outside and then a pretty open center, and there was these cement blocks you would pass through, and you kind of circled around this circle in the middle.
Yeah, I remember this one. Yeah. I had a really hard time with this one as well. I didn't like this one very much at all.
Yeah, that one was tough. It felt like there was a lot of head glitching going on, and people would it didn't favor my style, which is like kind of let them come to me. They would come after me, and they took me out.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't like this one either. I'm noticing how this works for me is that I liked the gulag showers and everything else I didn't like.
Well, then the final one was our most recent one, which was the Rush, which was like that paintball arena. Seemed like the most balanced in terms of like no easy strategy, completely, symmetrical layout, really forcing people. You always had a blind spot and a way you could be kind of shit on, at least for us console players. How'd you like that one?
Yeah, again, I didn't like that one either. I think they're all shit except for the gulag. The original shower gulag.
All right, so our ranking is pretty much gulag showers on top, everything else below that, and the Rebirth one squarely on the bottom.
Yeah, that works for me. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I can agree with that, although I kind of did like the Nuketown one.
That would probably be, there's like the gulag showers, the original showers, and then below that would be Nuketown, and then just slightly below that is everything else.
Yeah, well, gulag showers and original showers are one and the same, but
Okay.
neither here nor there. Speaking of returning to something we've had before, a fan favorite. I think it was right around when we started this podcast. I guess actually, no, never mind. Shortly after, probably what inspired us to really do this podcast, because I know this was right around the time you were starting to get into the game, start to figure your shit out, not be a worthless sack of shit we dragged around Verdansk, and that was with the Halloween, quote unquote, the haunting event. Do you remember that, buddy?
Bro, how could I forget? It was the zombies, baby. The zombie event. How could you forget the zombies?
Well, the zombies, it's the Night of the Living Dead once again, because they announced, coinciding with Season 6, will be the return of the haunting event.
Wow. Curious to see how that works. I wonder if they're going to have it on Rebirth or if it's just going to be on Verdansk. Curious if it's going to be a thing where you die, you become a zombie. There was a lot of different zombie style modes. I feel like I'm curious to see what they bring back.
Yeah, I hope it's the classic. The Rebirth Island's interesting. I'm down for it, but if they bring back the Verdansk one, the old one where you kill the guy, you come back as a zombie, and you steal the vials and all that to become human again, I love that. I'm a big fan, although somebody else, I think it was Scared of Clown again, noted that the jump scare boxes are likely going to be coming back with it.
Which I hated. Those were so damn loud. It was like almost put me into cardiac arrest a few times. It was so loud.
Super disturbing, but worth the price, I'd say, to have the fun of the zombies. Maybe that'll get some of the old players back on the map. But very exciting, very pleased that that's going to be making an addition in time for Halloween.
Yeah, oh my God, dude, I still have like trauma from those boxes. It's not that they're disturbing. I mean, I guess technically it's disturbing. It's not like graphic or anything. It's just so loud. It's crazy how loud the sound is that comes out of those certain boxes. It's like gonna blow your speakers.
Yeah, and they by the end, they were becoming more and more rare to where you kind of let your guard down, forgot about them, and just when you weren't expecting them, boom, the motherfucking chick screaming in your face. It was cool to hear teammates scream into their mics. You wouldn't know why, but you kind of would know why.
Yeah. You would definitely know why. When I started crying and I would scream for you, you'd know why.
Exactly, and it wasn't, usually wasn't because you were getting killed. But that said, Season 5 really lacked new weapons addition. I don't even know if there was one. I think there was only the size or maybe that shotgun pistol. Can't really remember, but that's not the case with Season 6. They are introducing now 5 new weapons, 3 of which are guns, 2 are melee weapons. So the melee weapons are going to be a battle axe and a hammer and sickle, which is very fitting with the old Soviet theme and all that, but that's not really part of the storyline. But again, nothing ever fucking connects there. So those are the 2 melee weapons, but the real meat, the real concern for us players is the guns, and that one of them is a new shotgun. It's the 410 gauge Ironhide shotgun that's coming at launch, and you can earn it in the battle pass. The next is called the Grav assault rifle, which is coming at launch, also in the battle pass. I think that might be a burst fire. I don't know why I feel like the ending with the V means burst fire. Like the carve.
I don't know.
And then final is the Lapa, Lapa SMG, coming in season. They haven't said how you'll unlock that. So gonna see obviously some new weapons into Verdansk before we take the time travel back to the Pacific.
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder, a 410 shotgun is a 410 gauge shotgun, which is a lighter shotgun. You know, it's got like, there's 12 gauge, 20 gauge, and there's a 410. The 410 is really, it's a lighter shotgun. I'm curious, like, what kind of shotgun that would be. It's usually a pump action shotgun, but it's not like a beast of a shotgun. They're used to kill small birds and rodents like doves, you know, like it's not like a big big shotgun. So I'm not sure how that's going to play into like who would use something like that, if they stay true to that gun. But I mean, I'm so pissed off that I'm still upset that they nerfed the Gallo right after I, used it and loved it.
All right. Well, we appreciate the insight into the real life applications of the shotgun. We'll see what the in-game applications are like, if it's viable. As you said, the fan favorite, the most meta shotgun, the Gallo, was nerfed. Since playing with it, you've confirmed it seems like it just wasn't the distance, it's the damage of it. I've seen a lot of people pivoting back to the street sweeper as a result who do run shotguns, but we'll see if that one's a new one on the table there for you. That's really it, though, in terms of additions here for Season 6. In terms of final content, although they did say that it will have, quote, new modes to come, an item pool update, and balance changes. And that info will be coming in the patch notes.
Wow, we got a new season. Wow, these are big. The seasons are big releases. I didn't realize it was this week. Cool.
All right, well, in preparation, as we touched on, an exciting new feature coming with Vanguard is the addition of the clan system. And they stated, though, which affects, our whole big family, our Warzone Amateur Hour regiment out there, is that the regiment system in Warzone will be frozen starting October 6th. So you will not be able to leave, invite, or add anyone to your regiment after that date. So I'm going to go through my friends list. Anybody that hasn't been invited is going to get that invite. We apologize if we missed anyone, although it's grown quite a bit. So we're extremely excited for everyone that has joined. And they said this change, this freezing, is again in preparation for the new clan system. So excited to hear about that.
Yeah, I know we discussed that. I guess I'll get filled in when it comes live. But yeah, interested to see how that works out. Hopefully it doesn't fuck up what we've already done.
Yeah, well, we won't know there. Excited about that. It's only going to add, imagine if we had our little Warzone crew as its own clan. We could go around. I would be ready to fight some sweaty teams with that. But that's, going to be happening. Keep an eye out if you want to join.
Wow, confident over there. Real confident.
Hey, we got the synergy. We get the wins, baby. Rebirth's meant for the amateurs.
We'll see.
But that said, the final thing we want to announce this week is very exciting, very long overdue, I must say. But as we said, we want to do something special for the launch of, for the 1 year anniversary of the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast, as we said, which is likely to coincide with the new Warzone. So to celebrate that, we're going to be organizing a custom game that's open to all listeners, supporters of the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast. We're targeting December 11th, 2021 for that, which would be a Saturday, I believe. So mark your calendars. 1 year anniversary, going to be right around that time. Ringing it in with the game. We all get together. We all kick each other's asses and have some fun.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. It's long overdue. It'd be so fun for everyone that's part of the community to get in there, fucking have a custom game, not too many sweat lords. We could see who the real amateurs are and see who's pretending to be an amateur and actually a sweat lord.
Very much. And if we get some gameplay clips, we'll be recording ours. We can go back, break it down. We'll give the, highlights. We'll give the shout outs to the MVPs, the least valuable players, as always. The guys that made us laugh, made us cry, and brought us through the year.
Yeah, and who knows? If you win, maybe we'll send you a box of cookies or something.
That's not a promise I can stand by, but maybe the Cowboy will. But that said, that is going to do it for us this week on the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast. We are rapidly approaching the final season of Black Ops Cold War integration. The end of Verdansk is nigh. The haunting is upon us. Hear ye, hear ye.
Arr.
Okay, well, we will talk to you next week. And until then,
good luck in the original vintage shower gulag.
Good luck in the gulag.